A sudden announcement from inside the palace has sparked a wave of disbelief. Officials have confirmed the results of a secret DNA test involving Prince Louis, and nothing about it matches what the public expected. 4 months, tension grew behind closed doors as experts ran deeper checks, trying to settle questions no one thought would ever be asked. Now that the findings are official, the royal family's carefully protected image has been shaken to its core. Everything the public believed about the royal bloodline is suddenly in question, and the fallout from this revelation is only beginning. Whispers. At a royal event on a very sunny day at one of the royal events, Prince Louis walked through the garden party holding his mother's hand. The summer afternoon brought hundreds of guests to the palace grounds. Catherine smiled at people while William greeted officials near the main tent. Their youngest son looked around at the crowd with curious eyes. Photographers captured every moment as the family moved through the event. Meanwhile, people noticed something different about Louis that day. His hair caught the sunlight in an unusual way. His facial features seemed distinct from his older siblings. Social media users began posting observations within minutes. The comments started innocently enough with simple questions about family resemblances. Soon, the posts multiplied across different platforms. It wasn't long before someone created a comparison image showing all 3 Wales children side by side. George had William's strong features and Kate's eyes. Charlotte resembled her mother almost perfectly. Louis appeared different in ways people struggled to explain. The post went viral within hours as thousands shared it with their own observations and theories. Royal watchers joined the conversation with detailed analysis. They pulled up old photographs from various events over the years. Each image seemed to support the growing belief that Louis stood apart from his siblings. The discussions moved from casual observation to serious speculation. Nobody wanted to say the words directly, but everyone thought the same thing. Kate eventually noticed people staring more intensely than usual during the garden party. She felt their eyes studying Louis with extra attention. William sensed the shift in atmosphere but continued smiling and greeting guests. Both parents instinctively moved closer to their youngest child. They created a protective circle around him without discussing why. The online theories became more elaborate as night fell. Some people claimed to have inside information about the hospital where Louis was born. Others suggested they had evidence of unusual circumstances surrounding his arrival. Anonymous accounts posted detailed stories about potential mix-ups or substitutions, and so the rumors spread faster than anyone could control. Television programs picked up the story by evening. Entertainment shows displayed the comparison photos during their segments. Hosts, on the other hand, carefully avoided making direct accusations, but encouraged viewers to draw their own conclusions. While these were going on, the palace remained silent. It wasn't the first time even royal families in other nations faced similar speculation about their own children. Meanwhile, Kate's parents saw the reports and immediately called their daughter. They expressed concern about the growing narrative and its effect on Louis. William's friends also reached out with messages of support. Palace staff monitored the situation closely while preparing possible response strategies. Everyone felt the weight of the accusations hanging in the air. School officials at George and Charlotte's institution received questions from other parents. They wondered if the rumors held any truth or represented baseless gossip. Louis remained unaware of the storm gathering around him. He played with his toys and enjoyed time with his siblings. George and Charlotte heard whispers, but their parents shielded them from the worst comments. The family maintained their normal routine despite the chaos outside their walls. The Wales family became the center of global attention for reasons nobody anticipated. Some old friends of William and Kate came forward defending the family. They shared personal stories about Louis' early years and his clear connection to his parents, though their statements did little to slow the spreading theories. People wanted definitive proof rather than emotional testimonies. Within the following days, medical experts appeared on television to discuss the possibility of genetic variations within families. They explained how children sometimes look different from their siblings for normal reasons. Scientists detailed the complex nature of inherited traits and features. Still, their logical explanations failed to satisfy the public's appetite for drama. The palace's media and communications team held emergency meetings about handling the crisis. They debated whether silence or engagement served the family better. Some argued that responding would legitimize baseless rumors. Others believed transparency might end the speculation quickly. However, the discussions continued without reaching clear consensus. William and Kate had watched the news coverage together. They saw their son's face being analyzed and discussed by strangers around the world. The couple felt anger and helplessness in equal measure. They knew Louis deserved better than becoming the subject of cruel theories. Something had to change before the situation caused permanent damage to their family. The anonymous letters. 1 week after the speculation started circulating, the first letter arrived in the morning in a plain white envelope. Palace mail staff sorted through hundreds of items as they did every day and noticed that this particular envelope had no return address and neat handwriting across the front. The letter inside contained 4 typed pages with specific details about the day Louis was born. Security personnel examined the contents carefully before passing it to senior staff. The writer claimed to have worked at the private hospital where Catherine gave birth. They described unusual circumstances during that April evening in 2018. The letter also mentioned a brief power outage that affected the maternity ward. Staff had moved quickly to ensure all mothers and babies remained safe during the incident. The anonymous writer provided exact times and locations within the hospital. They described which rooms Catherine occupied and when medical staff moved her during the emergency. The level of detail suggested genuine inside knowledge rather than invented stories. Someone had clearly been present during those critical hours. A second letter arrived 3 days later with additional information. This one described the other baby born that same night in an adjacent room. The writer explained how both newborns ended up in the same temporary location during the power outage. Medical staff worked by emergency lighting while ensuring both infants received proper care. The confusion of that moment created possibilities for error. Palace officials debated whether the letters deserved serious attention. Some dismissed them as elaborate hoaxes designed to exploit recent speculation. Others worried that ignoring potential truth could lead to bigger problems later. The letters sat in a secure office while senior advisors discussed their options. During a routine security briefing was when William learned about the letters. His face remained calm, but his hands gripped the armrests tightly. He asked to see the documents himself, despite protocol suggesting otherwise. The pages felt heavy in his hands as he read each word carefully. Everything inside him wanted to dismiss the claims as lies. Catherine found out that evening when William showed her the letters. She read them twice in complete silence. Her mind traveled back to that night when Louis arrived. She remembered feeling exhausted and overwhelmed by the birth. The power outage had frightened her briefly before staff assured her everything was under control. She recalled nurses moving quickly through rooms and hallways trying to fix things. Then a third letter arrived the following week with photographs attached. The images showed the hospital's maternity ward layout from that specific time period. Certain areas were circled in red pen with handwritten notes explaining staff movements during the emergency. The writer had documented their claims with supporting evidence that looked disturbingly legitimate. Palace lawyers examined the letters for any identifying information. They found nothing that revealed the sender's identity. The paper came from common office supply stores. The envelope matched millions sold across the country. Even the typing style gave no clues about who sat behind the keyboard. Someone had taken great care to remain anonymous. After seeing the letters, Catherine stopped sleeping well. She would lay awake replaying memories of Louis's birth. Every detail that once seemed normal now carried potential significance. She questioned her own recollections and wondered if exhaustion had prevented her from noticing something important. William even found her staring at baby photos in the middle of the night. For them to be able to make sense of the situation, the couple requested hospital records from that evening. Staff pulled files showing admissions, room assignments, and timing of all births. 2 babies had indeed been born within an hour of each other. The power outage lasted 17 minutes according to maintenance logs, and both mothers and infants received excellent care throughout the incident. Nothing in the official records suggested any problems. Soon, a fourth letter arrived containing more disturbing details. The writer described specific staff members who worked that night without naming them directly. They claimed to have overheard conversations in hallways that raised concerns, but never formally reported it. The anonymous source explained that their silence for years was out of fear for their career, but recent speculation finally pushed them to reveal what they knew. Palace investigators tried tracing where the letters were posted. The stamps came from different postal codes across London. Someone was moving around the city to mail each envelope from various locations. This level of planning suggested serious intent rather than casual mischief. Every letter carried risks for the family and especially for Louis, and the boy deserved protection from adult problems he couldn't understand. Catherine talked with her mother about the situation. She needed someone outside the palace system to provide perspective. Her mother listened carefully before offering simple advice about trusting maternal instinct. Catherine had carried Louis for 9 months and knew him from his first breath. No letter could change that bond. Yet ignoring the letters felt increasingly impossible. A fifth letter arrived promising it would be the last. The writer urged the palace to conduct DNA testing for everyone's peace of mind. They claimed no malicious intent, but rather concern for truth and justice. The letter ended with an apology for causing distress, but insisted the matter required resolution. At that point, William and Catherine knew they faced a decision that would change everything. The shocking realization from another family. A young woman sat in her small living room watching the evening news. The television showed footage of Prince Louis at a royal event. Her husband walked in carrying their 7-year-old son, Thomas, from the bathroom. The boy had just finished his bath and wore pajamas covered in cartoon characters. The woman glanced at her son and then back at the television screen. Something caught her attention in a way it never had before. While watching the television program, she asked her husband to wait a moment before taking their son to bed. The news segment continued showing different angles of the young prince. She studied the child's features carefully. Her heart began beating faster as she noticed similarities she had never considered before. Confused, the man asked what was wrong, but his wife couldn't find words immediately. She picked up her phone and searched for more images of Prince Louis. Dozens of photographs appeared showing the boy at various ages and events. She held the phone next to her son's face and felt her hands start shaking. The resemblance seemed impossible to ignore once she really looked. Thomas had always been different from both parents in obvious ways. His hair color matched neither the mother's dark brown nor the father's light blonde. His eyes carried a shade of blue that nobody in either family possessed. His facial structure seemed refined in ways that didn't match their working-class features. They had always explained these differences as random genetic variations. The young woman showed her husband the comparison on her phone. He laughed at first, thinking she was joking, but his smile faded when he saw her serious expression. The man took the phone and studied the images more carefully. He looked at Thomas standing between them and back at the screen. The similarities were undeniable once someone pointed them out. Before then, the couple had discussed their son's differences before, but never seriously. Thomas was intelligent beyond his years. He showed interest in classical music and art that neither parent introduced. Teachers often commented on his natural grace and manners, and both parents had felt proud of these qualities without questioning their origin. Thomas was born at a private hospital in London on the same date as Prince Louis. His mother remembered the experience clearly because of complications during delivery.